So now that the Browns are sort of unofficially officially tanking after the trade of Amari Cooper, I think me and a lot of other people were starting to kind of wonder when the leaks and rumors were going to start coming out of this whole scenario. Because everyone has been hypothesizing, if you keep losing more games, more guys are going to get upset. More guys are going to get upset. The more people are going to talk to the media, the more stuff is going to start leaking out. And now, as we have been knowing for the last 5 years, the Browns sort of have not been leaking stuff out to the media. They've been sort of close knit, trying to keep everything in house. Now, previous regimes, previous Browns teams, stuff would be leaking out all the time. There'd be holes in the ships, and there'd be water and rumors and news pouring out from Berea every single day. But under Kevin Stefanski and under Andrew Berry, it's been different. It's been more internal, more close knit, a lot more, stuff has been leaked out that they want you to know about, not necessarily what they don't want you to know about. But with this trade of Amari Cooper, what I said before, the Browns are unofficially tanking. They kind of admit it without admitting it that they're tanking. They're doing a gentleman's punt on the season. And we kind of understood that maybe a lot of leaks and rumors will be starting to come out about basically what's been going on with the Browns. And I think there's been one thing that has been massively overlooked. That a comment made by one of the reporters, I think Mike Sando from The Athletic, credited reporter. It's not some, like anonymous guy on Twitter. An actual credited reporter for the NFL, for The Athletic, covers the NFL. He's been doing it for 27 years. But he was on a podcast with Diana Rossini, formerly of ESPN, and then Chase Daniel, the former quarterback in the NFL, and they had a show on for The Athletic. But essentially, Mike Sando came out with a scathing, basically a scathing rebuke of the Browns and a scathing report of the Browns that I think shows and answers at least a little bit why the Browns are so hesitant to move on from Deshaun Watson. And you can tell by the title at the bottom of your screen. He essentially says that the Browns can't criticize Deshaun Watson. That they don't like that. I'll play the video here in just a second, but I'll let you guys hear the video, hear what he has to say, and we'll go on from there. So let's get this going right here.
Curious about how they are holding Deshaun accountable in the meetings too, because I've seen a lot of different organizations operate differently with how they call out their star players, their highly paid ones, right?
My understanding is it's not real easy to be super critical of Deshaun in the building. That's not really heard very well internally. So I would love to know that, just how honest is everybody internally in their evaluation. When you have somebody who is going to start no matter what, right? He's got a fully guaranteed deal with all this money. Can you be as frank in those discussions? What's that climate like? I think would be a good thing to flesh out.
As you guys could see by that video, the Browns don't handle criticism of Deshaun Watson very well. If that's the case, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? I mean, you have a quarterback that cannot take criticism. This organization doesn't take lightly to people criticizing Deshaun Watson. I mean, why? What's going on here? If, like, we have been hypothesizing as Browns fans, why are they so adamant with Deshaun Watson? Why are they so adamant to keep Deshaun Watson on the field when everybody clearly sees he is playing as probably the worst quarterback of the last 25 years. And that's not being hyperbolic. That's stats. Stats are saying he's been one of the worst quarterbacks of the last 25 years. Not even just this year. He's the worst quarterback this year. He's been one of the worst quarterbacks of the last 25 years. And we've been wondering, why are the Browns so adamant in playing Deshaun Watson? Why don't they just try and shake things up and go with Jameis Winston or go with DTR? Just try something different, man. And Mike Sando, I think, lays it out for us. They don't want to criticize Deshaun. They don't like when people criticize him. Because you know why? If you criticize Deshaun, you're criticizing Kevin Stefanski. You're criticizing Andrew Berry. You're criticizing Jimmy Haslam. You're criticizing Paul DePodesta. You're criticizing the higher brass that wanted Deshaun Watson in the first place and moved on from Baker Mayfield. That's what for me, that's what it really reads into. You criticize Deshaun for his bad play. You're criticizing Deshaun for being one of the worst quarterbacks of the last 25 years. You're criticizing Deshaun Watson for missing open receivers. You're criticizing Deshaun for running into sacks. You're criticizing Deshaun for leaving open pockets. It's not all on him. But if you criticize him for that, Browns don't like that. Because you know why? It falls right back onto the higher brass of the Browns. That's what the Browns, the higher brass, wanted Deshaun. They brought Deshaun in to be one of the best quarterbacks of the league. He's not. He hasn't been. He's been one of the worst. And you know why? If you criticize Deshaun, you're criticizing Andrew Berry. You're criticizing Jimmy Haslam. You're criticizing Kevin Stefanski. You're criticizing Paul DePodesta. Those four guys all wrapped up. And you can say, well, Kevin Stefanski didn't want him. Okay, you can try and make up arguments for guys who you like, right? Try and fit a narrative that you try and, do that. But to me, that's what this really means. That's the underlying message in this report from Mike Sando. Browns don't want you to criticize Deshaun Watson. They don't. Because you know why? It reflects badly on them. And that's not a seriously run organization. You have to admit when you made a mistake. And the Browns made a mistake. They made a horrible, one of the worst mistakes in NFL history. I still think the Herschel Walker trade is worse because Dallas got Super Bowls from it. We don't know what's going to go on with Houston. Houston still has a long way to go to make it the worst trade in NFL history. But it's right up there. But a seriously run organization will know when they've made a mistake. And I think internally they may know that they've made a mistake, right? But I think their pride is getting in the way of them taking action to help the players on this team and help this team try and win at least, or at least salvage something from this season. Because you cannot, let's just be honest, guys, you can't let Deshaun go out there and play. You can't. It's over. He's not going to be good. And you can tell me, well, he went 11 of 12 in the second half. Okay. He went 11 of 12. Okay, but he was also god-awful in that first half. He didn't get any closer to winning the football game. If this report is true, if this report is accurate from Mike Sando, I don't know who he got this report from. I don't know who he got this rumor from. I don't know if it's someone from the Browns. I don't know if it's players. I don't know if it's someone in the higher ups in the management. I have no idea. But if this is true that they don't like when you criticize Deshaun, what are we doing here? If you can't be critical of a quarterback that's been playing historically bad, not even just bad, not even just regular bad, historically bad, if you can't criticize that, then what can you criticize? If I'm a player and this comes out and I see they don't like you criticizing Deshaun Watson, so then how do you have any justification to criticize me if I'm not playing as bad as Deshaun Watson at my job? Right? That's what I would be doing as a player. And we also have to ask some other questions with this report too. One, how do we know that you can't criticize Deshaun Watson? How do we know that? Have players have players been criticizing Deshaun to people behind the scenes, and they say don't do that? How do we know that you can't criticize Deshaun Watson? Because if we know that, does that mean that someone has been complaining about how Deshaun Watson's been playing, and then they say don't do that? How do we know that? 2, who's told that person you can't be critical of Deshaun? Who said that? Who said that you can't be critical of Deshaun Watson? Was it Andrew Berry? Was it Jimmy Haslam, Paul DePodesta, Kevin Stefanski? Who on the Browns has been saying you can't be critical of Deshaun? We don't like you criticizing Deshaun Watson. Those are the 2 questions I would like to know. 1, have players already been critical of Deshaun Watson? Have they been trying to voice their concerns and their displeasures about Deshaun to management and coaches on the Browns? And who has been telling them you can't criticize Deshaun? Stop criticizing Deshaun Watson. Let this play out. Who's been saying that? Those are the 2 main questions I think that we have to find answers for. Those are the 2 questions I think that the Browns need to address, and I think that has to be found out, because I think those are the 2 pertinent questions coming from this report. Who has been critical of Deshaun Watson? And 2, who were the people that said you can't be critical of him? Who are the people that have been staunchly defending him in this building, on this team? That's who I'd like to know. That's what I would like to know. But yeah, I mean, this report, if it's true, if it's, I don't think he'd be lying, but if it's true, I mean, it answers what we've been wondering for a long time. Why are the Browns sticking with Deshaun Watson? Because they don't want to hear criticisms of him. They don't want to hear any criticisms of him. That's the main reason. They don't care. They don't care. The reporters can go out there and they say Deshaun Watson's been playing historically bad. He's been one of the worst statistically bad quarterbacks of the last 25 years. Kevin Stefanski can go up there and say, I don't give a shit. That's what he's been saying, guys, and that's what we know. We know now from Mike Sando, this report. It makes sense now. They don't care. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it, guys. And we can bitch and moan for the next couple of weeks, for the next 12 weeks. We can bitch and moan about why the Browns are not making a change at quarterback. If this report's true, we know. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear any criticisms of him. They don't care. They don't want to hear it. That's the main reason. That's the main reason, guys. You want to know why Deshaun Watson's not getting benched? They don't want to be critical of him. They don't want to hear any criticisms of him. They don't care. They don't want to hear it. That's a sign of just being, I don't even know if it's intentionally blind, if you're intentionally just trying not to ignore, if you're intentionally trying to ignore reality. I think one of the quotes I like that I've seen the most, and I think it can tie a bow on this whole video, right? Just to tie a bow on this thing. A quote that I really like, that I think can really apply to this here, right? For this report and for this. You can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of reality. The Browns can ignore all the bad stuff with Deshaun Watson, the 27 allegations against him, the historically bad quarterback play. They can ignore all of this. They've been ignoring all of this. This report says so. They've been ignoring everything. But you keep ignoring it, you keep losing, you keep having Deshaun Watson be at the thing. Can't ignore if Myles Garrett says, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be in another rebuild. Trade my ass. Denzel Ward, same thing. I don't want to be here for another rebuild. Trade me. You're not going to be able to ignore that when that happens because you want to ignore Deshaun Watson being one of the worst quarterbacks. I mean, that's the point where we're at, guys. That's the point where we're at. And I mean, I don't know what else to say other than we've got answers potentially with this report. The Browns just don't care if you have any criticisms of Deshaun. They don't care. They're sticking with him. You can't criticize him. And that's insane to me. That's literally insane and makes sense why they didn't bring back Joe Flacco. We can't hurt Deshaun's ego. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hurt Deshaun's ego. Can't be critical of Deshaun Watson. You can't be critical of your quarterback. That's insane to me, guys. That's insane to me. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. I want to hear what you guys think about this. Am I crazy with what I've been theorizing? Am I crazy? Let me know what you guys think. What you guys think is going on. Thank you guys so much for your support. The last couple of weeks, you guys have been absolutely killing it. Let's try and get to 1,000 subscribers. We're trying to get there before the end of the season. I think we're at 866 subscribers. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't hit subscribe yet. If you guys know anyone who would like this type of content, make sure you guys get them to this channel. Say, hey, subscribe to this guy. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for all of your support. And I'll see you guys all in another video. Take care.